Hello, welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Do you catch the message that I'm sending to you? I want you to subscribe. So anyway, welcome back. This video is a reaction video to episode 6 of the HBO series entitled I May Destroy You, which is written, produced, directed, and starring the brilliant, gorgeous Michaela Cole, based on a true-to-life experience of Michaela Cole. And we have been put through the ringer with this one. We have been learning a lot. We have been experiencing a lot of feelings, and episode 6 is no different. So as I did in my past videos, I'm going to do a quick recap, scene by scene of what took place in this episode, and then I'm going to share with you my 4 hurts, my 4 heals, and my favorite thing about this episode. So if you haven't watched it, spoilers, because I'm telling the whole thing, all right? So here we go. Hopefully you've seen it, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about, and let me know your thoughts on what I focus on, and what you liked about this episode, what you didn't like, where do you think this story is going? Let's get into it. All right. So episode 6 is entitled The Alliance. And it starts out where we see Terry and Kwame, and they are spray painting in this yard outside. It looks like it's some type of like spray painting class or workshop. And the first thing I thought was, I would love to do something like that. Like, that looks really, really fun. I've never worked with spray paint before, but I feel like it would be, feel like a really raw experience. And it makes me think of like graffiti, and how graffiti is like this powerful way to send a message. It's a powerful form of public art. So I was already like intrigued, and also intrigued by the pieces that Terry and Kwame were actually creating, because one of the things that I really love about this series is that even though there's major-ish going on within the story with the characters and with the dialogue, there's always also these subtle hints and subtle layers by things that are happening in the background, and all the different details matter. Like that poster that's always coming off of Arabella's bedroom wall whenever she's having like a moment where she feels unsettled or unsure. It rolls down. There's something significant about that. So automatically I said there must be something significant about the piece that Terry's creating, the piece that Kwame's creating, and the fact that we don't even see Arabella's piece. We don't even know if she made one, if she started one and didn't finish it, or if she spent the entire time on the phone. So in this first episode, Arabella's on the phone. Looks like she's texting or in the middle of a phone call, and Kwame and Terry are spray painting their pieces, as I said. Kwame's piece is like this floating creepy ass head with red spray paint coming out of its eyes. It's almost as if the figure is crying tears of blood. And Terry's piece is like this pink woman, feminist looking like superhero type thing, who has a mask on, which is, I thought was really interesting considering what we're dealing with in the world right now. She has a pink mask on, but she looks like she might be like a superhero or a defender of some kind. And Terry's expressing some concern about the fact that Arabella's been on the phone this whole time, and she seems really distracted. And she uses a analogy, the computer analogy, which I thought was interesting also because Zayn used the computer analogy when talking about Arabella in the last episode. So that kind of stood out to me. And Another thing that stood out to me about this episode is how phones are being used throughout this series, but I'll get to that later. Anywho, so Terry's like, Kwame, don't you think something's up with Arabella? Like, don't you think we need to be doing something to get her to deal with this trauma she's experienced? Double rape at this point, trauma on top of trauma. And as usual, Terry's doing way too much. Like, we've come to understand that Terry's a shit talker, and she does way too much, but also way too little at the same time. And she annoys me. Terry kind of annoys me a little bit, and in this moment, she was annoying me, especially because it was obvious to me, maybe because we know Kwame's story, but it was obvious that something was definitely going on with Kwame. Like, he was really out of it. He wasn't really focused on what she was saying. He was deeply in his head. He was painting a ghostly, ghastly figure with bloody tears. Hello, Terry. You pay attention? Like, your friend is going through some shit. But anywho, so Arabella walks over, and Terry's like, so what's up? What's going on? Arabella starts to change out of her spray paint clothes, and she's like, I'm gonna go. I have something to go to. Terry wants to know where you're going. She's going to a support group. What support group? Where? Where'd you find out about it? I found out about it online. Online where? Social media, Facebook. Terry's interrogating. And I guess it's okay for her to be a little extra. Like, she wants to make sure Arabella's okay, but then at the same time, it was a bit much. So Arabella says, I'm going to a support group for survivors of sexual abuse, and it's being led by Theo. We see Terry's face cringe. She's visibly upset, visibly annoyed, visibly disgusted almost. And Arabella's like, she's cool, she's nice. And it's obvious that this Theo person is somebody that they both have known, and it's someone that Terry doesn't like, and it's someone that Terry thinks Arabella should not be spending time with. So we get a couple clues about Theo, but we don't know just yet what the issue is. Arabella is in the support group in the next scene, and we meet Theo, this new character that I'm just not feeling her. So I'm actually on Terry's side in this instance. I'm trusting Terry's judgment in this case, which is different because I haven't trusted her judgment so far. But anywho, so Theo introduces the support group. She says that this is a group for people who have been victims of domestic violence, sexual manipulation, molestation, rape, assault, etc., etc. All the things that can go wrong, all the things around consent violations. So, she says we're going to keep things anonymous. So we're going to name any men one name. We're going to give all the women one name because we never know who could know someone else in this group, etc., etc. So it all seems very much on the up and up. It all seems very tender, very nurturing, very thoughtful, very intentional. And I, for one, definitely recommend support groups when it comes to dealing with trauma of any kind. I have participated in support groups for years, and I have found them extremely helpful. Mainly because one of the things that happens when you experience something traumatic is you feel very alone. You feel very isolated. You feel very woe is me. Why did this happen to me? You feel a sense of shame and guilt. And when you get to be in a room with other people who've experienced that same thing or something similar, and they express their thought process, their hurts, their issues, you get to understand that that you're not alone, that there are people out there who feel exactly the way you do, and this isn't just about you. This is about a system, an ideology, a certain just existence of danger that is in the world, and it's not particular for you specifically, and it's something that happens, and it doesn't have to define who you are. So support groups are awesome, and I was happy to see that Arabella made that step, and to step away from her friends to do something where she got to focus on herself with other people like her. So she's active in her healing, and that's one of my favorite things about this character, is that she is super proactive in her healing. So one of the women that is in the group starts to talk about how she was kind of touched by her boss, and another woman in the group talks about how touching can happen sometimes, and you automatically get like that creepy weird feeling when someone touches you in the small of your back, and it's like, I don't know you that like that. Why are you touching me in such an intimate manner? You know? And if it's someone that you work with, someone that's your boss, or someone that's your teacher, someone that's in a position of power, you really don't know how to handle it, because you don't want to jeopardize your own situation, but you also want to stand up for yourself, and you want to establish good boundaries. So it can be very confusing. So they talk, and then Arabella shares her testimony and talks about the drug facilitated sexual assault and the situation with Zane, and how she's had like a double moment of trauma back to back, and they were both related to being sexually manipulated. And she said something which I wrote down because I thought it was like so deep and so powerful. She says, "I'm here to learn how to avoid being raped." Now that really kicked me in my gut. And I definitely don't want to do a super long video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But this is one of the things that I feel like women are burdened with, is how to stay safe in a world where it often seems like there's an assault or a violation waiting for you at every corner. And especially if you've experienced it twice already, the idea is like, okay, how do I make it so that I don't ever have to deal with this hurt again? You know, and the fact that Arabella is able to name exactly what it is that she wants and why she is there is so deep and so powerful to me. And it's also sad, because it kind of sounds like she thinks that rape is inevitable, and the statistics that Theo gives make it even worse, because she talks about how 1 in 2 women have been assaulted, and the rate of exoneration is like 89%. Anywho, so the support group circle closes up, and Theo is kind of like hugging people. She's a facilitator, so that's pretty standard. People often want to hug the person that led the circle and get like a special moment of goodbye. So Arabella walks over to her to say her goodbye, and Arabella's telling her, "Oh, you're so fucking awesome. You're so fucking awesome. Like, you're so great." And I still felt like this weird feeling about Theo, and I'm not sure what it was. Maybe Terry planted that seed, or maybe something about how the way they exchange words in that moment just really kind of took me aback. So anywho, they hug, and then we have a flashback. The flashback is to year 2002, high school, right? 2002, it's the high school years, 18 years ago. Or was it 2004? I think it was 2004. Yeah, it was 2004. So high school years for Arabella, for Terry, and for Theo. So we find out that this is how they all knew each other from high school. We see Theo sneaking into her bedroom. We see her that she had snuck out the house to go to a party to meet up with some boy named Ryan, where Ryan wasn't there. They're texting back and forth on their old school Motorola phones. Theo comes very close to telling Ryan that she loves him, but then she changes her mind and says that, she was sad he wasn't there. And then her little brother, knocks on her door, and she changes really fast. She tries to make it seem like she's been in the bed all night, so she tries to put on her pajamas before she opens the door. She opens the door, she lets her little brother in. He shows her some kind of like Spider-Man kerchief or some weird little thing, and talks about how he's going to give them to Martin for his birthday. And it turns out Martin is their stepdad. Seems like a cool enough guy. So, she puts on her tie and everything, gets ready for school. Then she goes out. She's got her school uniform on. She sits down, and it's Martin, her stepdad, her little brother, and her mother Mary, sitting down for breakfast. So her little brother is singing happy birthday to Martin, also known as Daddy. Mary, the mom, wants him to call him Daddy. So that kind of stood out to me, and gives them a gift. And then Theo also gives him a gift, and he's kind of like, oh, you remembered. So, they have like a cute little family moment. And then the mom is like, don't think I don't know that you've been sneaking out the house. Don't think I don't know that you didn't sleep in your bed. I'm not stupid. And Theo's like, I slept in my bed. What the fuck are you talking about? And automatically the way she's talking to her mom, I'm like, oh, she's a brat. Like I literally wrote down, okay, so Theo is a brat who talks shit to her mom. She talks to her mom like trash. And, she's like, I've been here, and he'll testify for me on my behalf. When you came into my room, didn't I have my pajamas on? And did I not have my pajamas on? And little brother's like, yes, you did. And she's like, and did I not change into my school clothes? And he's like, yes, you did. And she's like, see, you're crazy, bitch. Like she talks to her mom like, what? Ooh, slap, girl. No, she's a brat. She's a bitch and a brat. So she goes off to school. We see her at school. She's making out with this boy who we find out is Ryan, the boy that she was texting with earlier that morning. And Ryan is black, which I think is significant. Theo is white. And they're making out, and then she kind of whispers in his ear, and she takes him all the way up to this hidden like construction room area that's not being used, and they start going at it, getting into it in a really weird, wild way. Not weird or wild, just going at it. For high schoolers, it felt wild to me, but that was a long time ago, and I didn't do such things. But anywho, they were having a good old time, and it seemed like they were really enjoying each other. She goes down on him. He's hitting it from the back. And then he pulls out his corny little Motorola phone and starts taking pictures while he's hitting it from the back. And I'm just like, oh, man, you're an asshole. Blech. So, wasn't feeling that. Click, 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 click. She turns around and sees what's going on. Of course, she gets pissed. And she's like, stop it. He doesn't stop. She says, stop it. He finally stops. And she's like, you need to delete those pictures. And he's like, what? What's the big deal? It's only for me. I'm not going to share them with anybody. It's just for my own personal use. And she's like, delete those. And she's like, are you stupid? Like, are you dumb? Are you mad? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So she's low-key dragging him. And she's like, and he's like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, this is just what we do, what's been happening. I heard that you were down with this, that you were into things like this, that it wasn't a big deal for you. Why are you trying to act all, high and mighty and holy right now? And she was like, well, okay. Somehow, in the midst of this back and forth, she ended up charging him money for the photos. You know, she was like, all right, you can take these pictures if you give me this much money. And he's like, fine. He didn't have all of the money that she asked for, but he had close to it. He dug into all his pockets. He gave her all of his money that he had, all his coins, all his bills. And then they proceeded to have sex again. And he was like, oh, I want to get some of you doggy style. He took the photos. Ooh, child. And, you know, I was really troubled at what was happening, and I kept sensing that something really bad was going to happen, and I thought it would be something violent, and it was. But in that moment, I thought one of them was going to hurt the other. Either way. So he takes the pictures, and then he puts his phone down to find more money for her. And while his phone is down, she takes it and throws it out the window, takes all his money, and he says, I really do like you, you know. And she just kind of smiles and leaves. She breaks into the school kitchen. She pulls out a knife. She goes into the bathroom. She's doing something to herself in the bathroom with the knife. She's got her drawers off, sitting on the toilet. In come little cutie pies, Arabella, little baby Arabella, and little baby Terry, talking shit, as per usual, I guess, as they've been doing for almost 2 decades. And then they come out the bathroom and they go off to class. And while they're in class, Arabella's like eating popcorn, Terry's sitting in the further back row, and Theo is sitting in between them behind Terry. Arabella is like munching away, but also being a good little student, raising her hand, answering questions, peep that. And then Terry's like, oh, give me some of what you got. So Arabella throws her some popcorn, and while Terry goes to like catch the popcorn, she looks down and she sees that Theo's legs are bleeding, like blood is flowing down her legs. She's got her head down on the table. She raises her hand. She tells the teacher, look over there. And the teacher goes over. Theo lifts up her head. She's crying and she says, Ryan made me do it. He made me. I didn't want to. So the teacher freaks out, tells him, go get the nurse, you know, call the principal, sound the alarm. A white girl's crying. Ooh, child. I'm not laughing at her. I'm just like laughing at how much drama this moment caused for the whole entire school. So next thing we know, Ryan's in the principal's office, or director of the school's office, and he's like, she wanted it, you know. First he's like, I didn't even really want to do it with her, and then he says, well, I did, but still, I didn't force her to do anything. And the teacher's like, well, you raped her. She's saying you raped her and you assaulted her with a knife. And he's like, what the F? No, I did not. That is not what happened. So he was not as scared as he should have been, actually. He was actually really, really calm. Dude, because the teacher was like, the principal was like, the police are on their way. So homeboy was about to be charged with rape. And so the kids, Terry and Arabella are out there, and this is when we get to see that Terry has been talking shit her whole life. She's been a shit talker since she was a 14-year-old. I'm kind of estimating their ages. She's like, yes, Terry TV, I saw the blood doesn't lie, the blood doesn't lie, you know, I saw it, and blah, 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 blah. She's like talking all this blah, blah, blah out of her mouth. And then we go outside and we have a scene with another black boy in the school named Marcus. And Marcus and Arabella and Terry are talking, and Marcus is like, I have pictures of them having consensual sex. He didn't assault her, he didn't rape her, she's lying. And they're like, what? Are you serious? Let's see the pictures. So he shows them the pictures, and they have a moment where they're talking about like the coolness of being able to have a camera in your phone and pictures in your phone, and that was cute. And then there's this weird thing happening in the scene behind them where this girl's being jumped and nobody notices. She's getting the shit beat out of her by a bunch of other kids, and they're just talking the whole time about how white girls, you know, their tears, how people respond when white women cry, as opposed to how they respond when black girls cry, you know, and how the teachers are always intimidated by them, and whether they cough, whether they cry, whether they do anything, the teachers are always kind of like, you need to calm down, like you're being too extra, you're intimidating me, you're scaring me, you're bringing too much drama to the classroom, your tears are a weapon of mass destruction. Whereas like a white girl crying, it's like, oh my God, are you okay? What can we do? Oh, stop everything. You know, so they talk about that, and it was hilarious and real. And Arabella's like, well, you got to show them that photo. That will help, you know, because he could go to jail. And Marcus is like, no, I'm not doing that because I have too many photos in this phone and I don't want to get in trouble. And he could get in trouble for child pornography. Having nudie, sexual pictures, video of minors in your phone is actually against the law. So I could see why he said that, but still, he was going to let his boy go to jail for rape. So Arabella and Terry save this day. She says, text me those photos. Send me those photos. They go and they share the photos with the school administration, and Ryan is off the hook. I guess Theo admitted that she was lying, and the photos prove it. So the blood is the lie, right? And this is when they talk about the alliance. The alliance, I guess, is between all the black children in this Catholic school, and the fact that they're not going to let Ryan go down for rape when he didn't cause rape. What he did was foul and fucked up and also against the law, but it wasn't rape with a knife. So, anywho, so Ryan is off the hook. Theo's mom comes to get her out to school, and as they're leaving, all of the black kids are just kind of like watching. Brooklyn. All the black kids are watching, and she calls them fucking African monkeys. Racist bitch, okay? So the racist jumped out real quick. Like, yeah, he's a monkey, but you still wanted to fuck him, and you still said you still came very close to saying you love him, but he's a fucking monkey, right? You wanted him to go to jail for rape, right? But you love him, right? Okay, Theo, okay. I don't care if you're 14, 15, 16, you're showing me that you have no integrity and that you're racist. So Theo goes home, and we find out from Martin, Theo's stepdad, that he thinks that she was molested by her real dad, and she thinks that her mom was abused by her real dad. It turns out that Mary, Theodora's mom, had her lie at the age of 7 because she wanted sole custody. She made Theodora tell lies about her dad. She manipulated her and made her tell the court that her dad abused her mom, which he never did. She made her tell the courts that her dad abused her, sexually messed with her, which he never did. And as a result, she has never seen her dad since. She has no relationship with her dad since she was 7 years old. Martin, this new guy, she said the only difference between you and him is that you have money. He was just he was a good person, just like you're a good person. And sorry to tell you, but your wife is a sociopathic liar. So we get to see a little insight as to why Theo is so fucked up as a person. You know, she wasn't sexually abused, but she was manipulated in a sexual way. So here's a whole nother level of how sex can be used to manipulate a person. It's it's deep as fuck, right? She didn't experience the trauma of abuse, but in a way, she's ended up experiencing trauma. Most likely not being able to see her dad and missing him so much has made her bitter and angry. And her mom, putting her through that experience of lying, has also taught her how to use lies to trick and deceive people and to get back at people and to be petty and to be just abusive and nasty. Like, these are the lessons that she received while her brain was developing as a child. So Theo's a mess, and I don't trust that she has become a better person, unlike Arabella, who thinks that she's changed. So in the next scene, we see we're back at support group. Theo does her standard opening speech, her opening icebreaker about this group is for survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, abuse, manipulation, etc., etc. And the group once again begins. Arabella is there, and she smiles at Theodora. Theodora smiles back. Fade to black. Credits roll. So, one thing I also want to mention is that Arabella is no longer wearing the wigs, and she's no longer rocking the bald head. She's now wearing these really pretty headscarves, these really pretty turbans. So I think there's some significance to that. There's all these subtle symbols and things that they do with her wardrobe, with her makeup, with her look, that kind of give you a sense of where she is in that moment. And I love that. I love visual cues. I love visual storytelling. But let me get to my 4 hurts, my 4 heels, and my favorites. All right? And I'd love for you to tell me, what did you love about this episode? What hurt you, if anything? What healed you, if anything? And what was your favorite thing about it? So, my hurts. My first hurt is Kwame. It's really sad that he is going through this pain and nobody seems to notice. His friends are so caught up in their own ish that they don't realize that he is deeply, deeply hurting. He has been traumatized and he has no way of expressing it. Hurt number 2, the use of white women's tears as a weapon. That shit was triggering as fuck, okay? Because this is something that's been happening for eons, since the beginning of I don't know when, and it's still going on now. We see video of it all the time, all over social media. White women that start crying because they think their lives are in danger, or they think they're going to be attacked, or they pretend like they were attacked. There are countless stories of white women over the decades of this in this country, especially, that have gotten black men lynched, that have gotten black women fired, that have gotten black people arrested, and it's just because of those fucking tears. Hurt number 3. Theodora's mom, was an abuser. Maybe she didn't hit Theo. Maybe she didn't call her ugly or fat or useless, but she definitely abused her by making her lie about her father. And hurt number 4, Ryan was actually still trash. Ryan was trash. I don't think he should have gone to jail for rape, but he was a piece of garbage who should not have been taking pictures of them two having sex without her consent. And he sent those pictures. He sent those pictures to Marcus so quick that the pictures were sent before the secondary pictures that he paid for were taken. It was like he went and pressed send. Because how could Marcus have gotten those pictures so quickly? The phone was thrown out the window and apparently, supposedly never found. Okay, my 4 heels. Arabella is proactively seeking support and camaraderie in her healing. I mentioned that earlier. That is a really thick and juicy and delicious heel. I love her modeling what working on yourself looks like. Every episode, we see her doing more and more to just to gather herself together. Heel number 2. Bella and Terry's friendship. Arabella and Terry's friendship is a long friendship. The fact that they've been friends since high school and they're still friends as adults is a healing. Heel number 3, Martin, actually her stepfather. This is kind of random, but Martin is the only cis hetero male that we've seen so far that hasn't been trash. So I had to give him a shout out. Martin, the stepdad. Since episode 1, we haven't really dealt with a male heterosexual cis figure who is not a piece of garbage, who isn't whack. And my heel number 4 is the expression of art that was taking place, the expression of creating that was taking place, even though it was something that wasn't talked about. The fact that they verbally showed it was really powerful. Now, my favorite thing about the episode was Terry and Arabella, the babies, the young actresses. That was such good casting, and they were so beautiful and so lively and so on point, and they captured the personalities of the older women so well. I loved it. They were my favorite. Good job to the casting team. Good job to those 2 young actresses. They looked like Arabella and Terry. They acted like Arabella and Terry, and they gave us a really great foundation of what their friendship was about, which is shit talking, the alliance, being down for each other, fighting for each other, representing for each other, and I feel like this video is going to be another long one because I also want to just mention the significance of Black women defending the honor of a Black man, Black girls defending the honor of a Black boy. This has been happening within the Black community, rescuing, saving a Black boy from the experience, trauma, sabotage of dealing with a white woman. So this has been happening. I'm reading a book right now on Ida B. Wells, and she's talking about the lynchings and the different reasons and ways that Black men were being lynched for dealing with white women. And there were other Black women who were also leading this anti-lynching crusade, trying to save these brothers from being killed for these white girls. So I don't know if it's on purpose as far as casting and story and race and etc., but this is something that came to mind for me in that scene when Arabella and Terry held hands and walked down that hallway to the principal's office with those pictures, it was like, black girl saving the black boy again. Here we go. Even his own brother, even his own comrade, even his own friend Marcus was like, I can't get involved with that. But Arabella was like, send me that picture. And they handled that and they helped him out. So, what do you guys think of the Theodora character? Do you think we can trust her? Do you think that she is someone who can really provide some good healing and good emotional support for Arabella? Or do you think she's racist and shady and is going to do something that's going to make things worse in the long run? Tell me in the comments and let me know how you're feeling. We're at the midway point. As far as I know, there's 12 episodes. We're at episode 6. We're at the midway point. Things are going really well. I think I'm going to do a video that covers episodes 1 through 6, just because there's a lot to cover. But I'm going to stop here. Thanks for watching.